The reality is that traditional databases weren't built for the way AI agents work.
The more AI agents I build, I realized that
AI agents are more reactive, they are noisy.
they're constantly thinking, taking actions, and updating state in the background. So if your backend isn't reactive by default,
It's going to be a problem.
if your backend isn't reactive by default, you're
Going to write a mountain of glue code just to keep your UI in sync and not feel like it's broken or stale. And this is a sync problem I want to talk about today. And if you're shipping AI agents, then this is very important for you.
But so when I talk about the sync problem, I'm talking about the gap between what's there in your database and what the user sees on the screen. Traditionally, we've solved this with WebSockets, Redis,
On top of a database just to push updates. But AI agents have truly changed the game here.
They are autonomous, they update state constantly.
Frankly, they're a little messy, which means they are pretty asynchronous.
So if you're going to build an agent
On just a traditional stack with a traditional backend, it is going to be a problem for you because you're going to basically build some sort of a distribution systems nightmare. You have to ensure that every thought that the agent has is instantly reflected on the UI without a page refresh. This problem is way harder to solve. And this is why I have switched my backend entirely to something more reactive that handles it all for me so I can focus on shipping AI agents. And this is why I've started using Convex a lot more. Like, as you know on this channel, I'm a huge fan of Convex. In fact, all my AI agents use Convex because of the reactivity. It's not just storing data, it's in fact reactive by default. So any changes that the agent makes, Convex is going to log it, store it automatically. We will have a step-by-step workflow. And on top of that, we can easily debug it and it's reactive. So it's going to update the UI automatically for us. The moment the agent writes to the database, the AI is going to update automatically. Because the sync, like I talked about, is in fact baked into the architecture. And it's not bolted on top or not as an afterthought. It turns a massive engineering headache into a non-issue, which is a very big deal. And so we can focus on shipping AI agents rather than focusing on hard backend engineering problems that are already solved. And as a senior engineer, I don't want to even write the backend implementation anymore. If I'm architecting an agent system, I want to focus on agent's logic and how the agent performs. So if I could get all the bolts and pieces necessary to build a solid AI agent working for me, then that's golden. And that is where this workflow that I'm going to show you gets very interesting. Convex has released a plugin system for Claude Code as well as Codex. Depending on what you use, you can pick that. I'm personally using Claude Code. So let's say you're using Claude Code. You can essentially get it to do the heavy lifting for you. You install the plugin system, which I'm going to show you in a second. Allow you to let your agents securely interact with the database, inspect your dev deployment, read your logs, run insights. You can ask questions like, what are my app's public endpoints? What is the schema of my application? Evaluate my schema and suggest improvements, and so on. And all of this is possible because of the plugin system. I'll show you that in a second. But this is why
basically it has a skills.
So all you need to do is right here.
So with Convex, it has this
agent plugins for coding agents, for example, Claude Code, Codex, or Cursor, which will let your agent securely interact with your dev deployment, such as reading the data, logs, insight, and run functions. It also helps the agent automatically identify issues because it is already well trained on how Convex performs, the architecture. So it already has figured out backend engineering for us. And then it has skills in these specialized agents baked in that teach your agent how to use Convex most effectively, which we could focus on shipping solid AI agents. So since I'm using Claude Code, I'm going to go to that and you can literally just copy this command and install it. In order for you to install this specific thing, we have to head over to the terminal. We could just start Claude over here. And once we do, we could just paste plugin install Claude official plugins. I'm going to say install for you. It's installing right now. And once it's done installing, we could simply go to /plugins, manage plugins, and you can see Convex Claude plugins official is already part of it. So we don't need to worry about it. So we could simply use it. And then if I say something like build a Todo App with Convex, which is a very simple prompt and really good understanding for how this works, it has used the Convex quick start skill that's already baked in to scaffold a specific app, build it live. Again, I have it on auto mode, so I was sort of accepting everything that it has scaffolded and any of the dependencies as well. And then this is the UI that it came up with. It was already there. And this is the sync problem that I was talking about. This is the syncing that Convex fixes automatically. Because it's reactive, any of the UI changes either additions or deletions or update, it's in fact immediately reflected on the backend. We have the schema defined here, so you can easily see, how well the schema is designed. We have different functions, so you could list your query. For example, I can run the specific function and it gave me the data that it needed. We can toggle, remove, and so on. So all of this is automatically baked in for us. But my favorite feature is also just like logging, because I could just look at all the failures and inspect and see what is going on. The other thing, scheduling the functions to run later on too. So if you want to schedule any of the functions we looked at, for example, some specific data, clear out garbage data from the database, schedule it over here in a schedule function, as well as we have cron jobs too. So if you want to take backups of your data, you could also do it over here too. So all of this is incredibly easy, and the health dashboard will tell you the health of your application, what's the failure rate, cache hit rate, and so on. So then you can inspect it as an engineer and look at where your agents are unnecessarily adding complexity and whatnot. So that's honestly really good. And I've been using it a lot for my agents too. So not only that, like if you're starting a new project, you can just say, Claude, build me a Todo App with Convex with permission auto, and Claude Code will handle the rest because of the solid Convex plugin system. You could also add it to an existing project. We just need to install the plugin like we did already. But this just makes it a lot simpler for us to interact with our backend without having to rebuild everything. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this specific video. If you did, comment below and let me know. Would you ship your AI agents with Convex? Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.